Oh, we're on.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Dopey. I'm Dave, the host of Good Morning Dopey, and as well as the host of the Dopey podcast on drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. Howie, let me ask you something really quick.
See.
We all know we have very few. We broke 3,000 subscribers, which is a big deal.
Woo.
Listen, if you had no subscribers, you wouldn't think 3,000 was a lot?
If I had no subscribers and then I went to 3,000, would I
Yeah.
think it's a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you think it's a lot?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great. What was the question?
I forgot.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Do you think that anybody that watches the Daily Reflections never heard Dopey? Does that happen?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think you'd have to ask both of them.
I'm tired of that joke. You need to come up with a different joke.
That's a good joke, though. That's a good bit.
No.
It's insulting?
It's insulting, but what's really insulting is that you think that nobody hears that you make that joke every time you're on.
That's my thing.
Enough with that joke. That joke is out.
That's what she
That
said.
joke is out. That's what she's. You could bring back. That's what she said. Not that the both of them joke is out.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. There's probably someone who found it and who's watching it and really loves you.
Go to the screen with just me.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen. If you are watching this and you've never heard Dopey, please leave it in the comments. And write us at dopeypodcast@gmail.com. But more importantly, like, subscribe, and notify. And I'm going to shut up. Today, I'll read a comment. What the fuck? You want to read a comment, Howie?
No.
No?
You can read it.
Comment?
No, you could read it.
You're not interested in the comments?
No, you asked me if I wanted to read a comment. I don't want to read one. You can read it. You know how I feel about reading.
Yes. Okay. This is Roxy57.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a woman, she said, oh, no. This is not a comment. There's a comment of our Bo Burnham viral welcome to the internet reaction video. Do you want to hear that?
Is it a negative comment?
No, it's just about Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
All right. Isaac Kennedy, I don't think Isaac Kennedy ever listened to the podcast. I think he's one because he was asking if I smoked weed before.
Let's get him on.
He says, thank you for sharing your struggles with us. Your daily reflection videos help me every single day I'm on the way to work. Bring humor and smart-ass common, really deep stuff from time to time, and I get out of every single one. I get something out of every single one. You know, when the Ramones first went and auditioned at CBGB's, they could barely play their instruments. But the guy who was opening up CB saw something in there and wanted to keep them coming back. I see you and Howie and all of your wonderful guests as the Ramones of recovery. That's nice.
Very nice.
I used to say to Chris that Dopey was the Ramones of addiction podcasting, in that the famous thing about the Ramones is that there's a bunch of very famous things.
They weren't brothers?
They were not brothers. Do you know why they called themselves the Ramones?
No.
They called themselves the Ramones because Paul McCartney, when he traveled, would call himself Paul Ramone as his
like in the
nom
hotels?
de guerre. Yes.
That's interesting.
So that's why they called themselves the Ramones. But the famous things about the Ramones, besides their look and their, I want to be sedated and Blitzkrieg Bop and whatever, first thing was that it was said that everybody that went to CBGB's to see the Ramones started their own band. Like, they weren't a big band, but they were incredibly influential.
Okay.
The other thing about the Ramones that's really interesting is they didn't make money from selling records. Like, they didn't make any money from selling records. Very little. They made money from Ramones t-shirts. And they made money from touring. And Joey Ramone lived in a shitty apartment in New York. They weren't playing big shows until right when he died. So, like, they never got rich. And Johnny Ramone died right then, too.
I think their story has become more famous after the Ramones than while they were active. It took some perspective.
What's really weird about the Ramones is that, they were so poppy, and yet they were looked at as like this crazy punk rock thing, and they were so poppy. Like, there was no reason why Blitzkrieg Bop and I Want to Be Sedated shouldn't have been hits when they came out. Like, it doesn't make any sense. They're so poppy.
Yeah. Well, maybe at the time, though, That wasn't. What year did that? What year did I Want to Be Sedated come out? Was it early 80s or late 70s?
I want to say
early 80s.
79 or something. Well, I don't know. Let's Google
So maybe it was just like, I don't know, punk in the U.S. in the 70s was very, very underground. Right? I mean, we're not talking like Blink-182 or pop punk, what that was in the late 90s. So if you're talking about 80s.
It came out in 1978. It was very underground. But my point is, Blondie blew up. Talking Heads blew up. And everyone thought the Ramones were going to blow up, but they didn't.
It's interesting. That's a good point. I'm sure there are 100 reasons why.
Yeah, but probably mostly
the accents. Probably.
What accents?
Long Island.
They didn't have Long Island accents. They had Queens accents.
Was it Queens?
Yeah.
Oh, I always thought that was a Long Island accent.
No, they were hardcore Queens guys. And Joey was Jewish, of course. And Dee Dee was this horrible junkie. And Johnny was this super dick.
And did they hate each other?
Yes. Well,
that's the recipe for a great band.
What happened was Joey was dating this girl and got on the bus with her, and she left him for Johnny. And Joey was in love with her, and she married Johnny.
While they were active?
Yeah. They were never not active. They died in the Ramones. They never stopped.
Oh, they never broke up?
No.
But what were they doing in the end?
They never broke up, and there were years that Joey and Johnny didn't talk.
But were they recording or playing?
They were playing shows. They were recording. They were playing festivals. They never stopped playing shows.
It is very interesting.
And they didn't talk to each other. Dee Dee died.
That's not unusual.
Dude, they're in a van. Joey sat in the front and Johnny sat in the back, or vice versa. They were in a van in their 40s or something.
So they never got to the point where they saw that kind of... Isn't that weird that everybody knows who they are?
Yes. Ubiquitous. Yes. But it's the T-shirt now. But it's too late. Joey didn't even have kids. Johnny didn't have kids. Dee Dee didn't have kids. It's crazy.
It's a very... interesting,
really interesting story, and they're like misfits. They are punk rock. Okay, today is Freedom, April 9th. Freedom from King Alcohol. Let us not suppose, even for an instant, that we are not under constraint. Our former tyrant, King Alcohol, always stands ready again to clutch us to him. Therefore, freedom from alcohol is the great must that has to be achieved, else we go mad or die. When drinking, I lived in spiritual, emotional, and sometimes physical confinement. I had constructed my prison with bars of self-will and self-indulgence from which I could not escape. Occasional dry spells that seemed to promise freedom would turn out to be little more than hopes of a reprieve. True escape required a willingness to follow whatever right actions were needed to turn the lock. With that willingness and action, both the lock and the bars themselves opened for me. Continued willingness and action kept me free in a kind of extended daily probation that need never end. Yeah, I mean, freedom is the whole thing, We do any of this stuff. I mean, now we're confined to this horrible practice of reading this terrible book every day for both of you. But I don't know. Fucking freedom is what we want. Freedom and fun. Freedom and fun, That's what we want. And some level of spirituality. The other day, here, put yourself on there.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I was I'm very popular at my meeting, obviously. And I often curse a lot at the meeting. And I was talking about one of my favorite tenets of Long Island Alcoholics Anonymous, which is you keep your fucking mouth shut. That's what they say all the time. And I said it like 10 times in my share. You better fucking keep your fucking mouth shut. And there's a guy who went on Dopey, amazing addict, older gentleman, amazing story, just crazy stories. And after and I left the meeting and I went home, whatever. I had my day. He doesn't talk to me ever, and we're friends, but I don't hear from him. And at the end of the day, he texted me like, you should probably think about cursing less at the meeting.
Woo.
And I was like,
interesting.
And then I called him.
What is that about?
I called him, and he said, and I really like this guy, and he has deep recovery, profound recovery, 25 years or something, you know, and he was a terrible heroin addict. And he's like, Dave, I love you, but you don't need to be cursing so much at a fucking spiritual meeting. No,
he said that?
Oh. He said, in a way, he was saying that when you curse so much, and we did a non-cursing daily reflection episode, and there was a lot of comments. None of them said it's good that you didn't curse. You know,
I think for YouTube, it's good.
Well, right, exactly. But the point is, my friend said that it's a spiritual program, and cursing isn't the greatest thing for a spiritual program. And I think he had a good point. And today I went to the meeting and I shared, and I made a point of not cursing once. And I'm not nearly as funny, you know. Like I'm not.
You need to curse to be funny.
I think I need to curse to be funny. Like I'm not nearly as funny without cursing. And I feel like a fraud when I'm not cursing and when I'm not funny. I feel like I'm putting on this show, like I'm a preacher all of a sudden. But it's like I'm trying to find a balance to bring a sense of spiritual seriosity, if that's a word, to the meeting.
Is that a religious perspective?
I don't have a religious perspective.
No, not from you. From this
from
guy.
him? No, it's a spiritual perspective.
What does spirituality have to do with cursing? I would think the profanity would be more of like a religious.
What does spirituality mean?
Oh boy, you're asking the wrong person. I don't know.
Well, so why would you say that the two things can't go together?
I don't know, because I think when I think of the religious perspective, I would say maybe something about profanity.
Here we go. Spirituality involves the recognition of a feeling or sense or belief that there is something greater than myself, something more to being human than sensory experience, and that the greater whole of which we are all part is cosmic or divine in nature.
So what does that have to do with profanity? I can see from a religious perspective.
I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you. What it is that when I curse, it's self-centeredness. It's not about...
Isn't it just language?
No, it's not. Because I do it to be funny. I do it...
language.
But it's about, like, look at me. It's a show. It's a show. That's it. Stay strong, Dopey Nation. Fucking toodles for Chris.
Dopey, I'm face down on the floor.